Okay, so I've got this body here, and I am just fine-tuning everything now, doing the same thing I did before, but now I have more geometry, so I just kind of have to move it around a little bit more. So I'm going to mess with this profile a little bit, and then I'm going to check some of the other views to see how they look. And his mouth is open right now, and I'm going to kind of do what I just did, but with I'm going to model it with it closed, and then I'll be able to open it after I've modeled it, kind of thing. So we'll just go with that for now. Pull this down. Alright, so I've got most of the body and the tail and everything that I'm going to do here. So now I can start thinking about how I'm going to do these legs, and something that I want to do, I don't know if any of y'all watched that video that Vinny did with the elephant and the assignment. It's pretty helpful. That's pretty much what I'm going to do here. I think I'm just going to kind of move things around a little bit to kind of make room for this area right here to kind of be where I draw the legs out of. Let's see how well this works in symmetry. And the idea here is that if I am going to pull these legs out, I don't want to just like pull them out here where they're right up against each other. This creature has a belly that comes all the way back to the base of the tail, and these legs just frame it. So we don't want to kind of crowd that up. It'll just look too cartoony. So I think these are the faces that I was looking for. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to run an offset on this. So if I run extrude, and I'm still in symmetry, so it's just going to look a little weird. And if I get out of smooth mesh preview, I can see here, I'm going to go ahead and turn off symmetry. If I just run the offset on this in, now I'm going to get some topology that I can kind of work with to pull this out. And there's a couple ways I can do this here. I think I'm going to pull it out even more, because if I look transparency wise, I need to move these around a little bit. I can see that this leg comes out all the way, it's protruding all the way up to here and all the way back there. So I'm just going to grab a hold of some of these verts and just move them around a little bit. I'm using Control and Shift to slide down the surface. Something like that. and definitely using some artist interpretation here. This is, after all, I have to keep reminding myself it's just a drawing. It's somebody's interpretation. But I have these other photos, maybe I'll take a look at those real quick, of skeleton stuff. Let's see. This one's not entirely helpful, but it is cool to find that they found like a whole carcass like this, a whole fossil. That's pretty cool. So let's see here. Here they've got these hips. I can kind of see right up there, just underneath the spine is where it looks like they're placed. And these front ones, this is important, around the body, which would probably, you know, come down to here. Really, those are just going to attach almost at the chest. Right there. So that'll be a much lower source for articulation right there, a much lower point. And these, like I said, looks like these hip sockets kind of slide in just underneath where the vertebrae is. So I'm just kind of making mental markers. This is a good one to kind of look at. Right there under the base, right there at the chest where the neck begins. Alright, so I've got this thigh extrusion offset here. I'm going to go ahead and save this because I've done a little bit. And now I'm going to go into perspective mode for a little while, and I think I'm going to do one of these at a time instead of using symmetry, just so I don't have to mess with the extrude and everything. But I think what I can do is I can either grab these edges and just kind of pull them out like this, and I'll probably pull these out too a little bit. And I could grab these faces right here and extrude them out. So I'm definitely going to use the world on this and just kind of pull these down, grab this little cube and just flatten things out. Oop, didn't work.
How did that happen?
Sometimes it was still in the extrude tool, so sometimes it'll just kind of pass right through. So I just exited the tool, and then that would kind of work like this. So I'm just going to start to taper these in, and I'll probably have to grab a hold of this vert here and scoot it a little bit more inside, because these things would be naturally a little more pinched. Like that. And this is a little bit just more anatomically correct for a leg. And now I can kind of form these things around. If I wanted this to be round right here, I could grab, let's just try and grab these faces. Let's see if this works. If I just go shift right click and then circularize components, see how it just kind of rounds out the leg? There is a twist component to this, so I can just kind of rotate that around. And I'm going to come back here to do that. So those are just a little more rounded out. I've clearly got more work to do. Pull this out a little bit more. These stegosauruses, they're kind of hippie, so I'm just going to kind of pull these out a little bit more. To me, it's a real defining feature, other than the plates and the spikes, is they're really stout. They've got a lot of strength in these hind legs for whipping that tail around, possibly even kind of coming up on their hind legs to get at things, trees and whatnot. So it's just kind of like a lot of their strength is in their hips and their legs right here. And I'm only working on one side, which, you know, that can be a little concerning if you get to go in here a little while and you're like, oh man, I've been doing all this stuff on one side and I got this whole other side to do. Well, all you need to do is, first of all, make sure that you are centered. And as long as you stay on this zero spot here, what is that? Huh, apparently I accidentally made a little plane. Get out of here. All right, so I've got this, and I want to make them samesies. So I'm just going to take this front half, and if you want to make sure you're getting that, I'm just going to come to the front, and I'm going to marquee select all these faces on this one half and delete them. So now I've got half of a Stegosaurus, 3/4 actually, because he doesn't have any front legs, and I'm just going to mirror this over. So I'll take this and I'm just shift right click, coming down here to mirror, and you can go to the options, but it gives you options anyway, which is really handy. So here I'm on the positive side. Positive is the right side, negative is the left side. Here I have my direction set to negative. Watch what happens when I push it over to positive. It looks all messed up. I've got like one plane because you're mirroring it into itself, so it's kind of having a conniption. So I need to go negative direction here. So if you ever run into that, some of the things to play around with here is the axis and the direction. And when you mirror things, there can be some other stuff that you might have to clean up, and I'll go over that. But first off here, cut geometry, you want that on axis position. We're mirroring over the world axis. And the offset here, there's 0. We want these things to be touching because we're on the 0, 0 line. Bless you, bless you. The border, merge border, I want these verts on this border to merge. So this all becomes one mesh. And the threshold here is just like when you merge verts, what is the threshold at which you will merge verts? Will it be 0.001 or will it be 0.5 millimeters? Obviously, you'll merge more than you plan if you go too big of a number. Smoothing angle and flippy V's, you don't have to worry about that right now. But this direction right here and this axis are important. I'm mirroring over the x-axis onto the negative side of that axis. So I'm just going to hit W to exit out of that tool, and I'm going to check and make sure everything's good to go. Right now everything looks straight, looks good. If I smooth mesh preview, I might find that there are some anomalies. Typically, one of the things that I'll see a lot is that I'll have some verts that did not merge, and that will really become evident when you start dropping multi-cuts and edge loops in here, and it won't go all the way around through its edge flow like it's supposed to. So one thing we can do here to triple check is I'm going to go to vertex mode, and I'm going to check all these vertices for any floaters that are just hanging out around my center seam, and it appears that everything is in order, which makes me happy. Alright, good. So now I have two sides of my Stegosaurus that are the same. So symmetry is a tool that you can use while you're working, and sometimes that's not ideal. And mirroring is also something that you can do. If you're just working on one side, stay centered, you can delete half of your object as long as you're working symmetrically, and then mirror it over and you're good to go. I am modeling this with the intent to rig it eventually, so this is a very static pose. If you are modeling into a pose, then that can be, these are some tools that might not be useful to you anymore, and that's okay. That's just kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So I'm just coming in here to fine-tune a couple of little things. So I can see here, I have a lot of history piling up here on this object. So from time to time, Maya might get a little bogged down with the history, and I'll just kind of clean that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold down, I've got my object selected, and I'm going to hold down spacebar, and edit, and then delete by type history. And that's all gone now. Something else I might do here, since this was a cube, and I've significantly changed its center point. So I'm just going to go ahead and go spacebar and modify, which is the same modify that's up here. Modify, and I'm just going to change center pivot. And now my pivot is in the center of this object. Alrighty. I'm going to do the same thing I just did, but with the front legs. And I'm trying to decide what I want to use. I think just this one square right here. Yep, I think that's what I'm going to do. I need to look at my references again, though, because I feel like I need to make this a little closer. So let's see. Maybe not. I guess those are still on the outside.
One of your references have an animal being like impaled by this.
Yes. So I'm really excited. I'm glad you brought that up, Sierra, because I am super excited about modeling this guy too on my own time and just having him traveling around on his spikes, you know, like.
Oh,
Dude.
I thought that was just like how it looked.
No.
And so I was like, what is the benefit of having like spikes coming out of your knees that are like all the way through?
This is his little buddy. When he gets lonely, he kind of does like a little puppet show with him, like, do not pass go, do not collect $200.
He's like, look, this is my guy.
Yeah.
A movie where that's one of the characters is just a stegosaurus who's a little crazy with like a puppet. He only talks to the puppet actually.
Yes. Yes. So to make him talk, he kind of flaps him around so his lifeless jaw flops around like a little marionette or something.
Are you gonna rig it to be able to do that?
I like where this is going. Yeah, I think this is gonna happen.
Hey, bud, are you dead? I think.
This is becoming a challenge, but I'm up for it. Yeah, I love that. I'm totally gonna do that. Or maybe if one of you guys are doing something similar to that, we'll just use one of yours and we'll slap it on there. We'll have a cahoots project together we can put on each other's portfolios.
Mine? Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd be
everybody
down.
else's dinosaur just sits and watches as that one has a
Yeah.
full entire puppet show with itself.
They're all just sitting there.
To animate. Everybody else just does static blinking.
Yeah. Like they feel very awkward. It's just like, whoa, Steggy went super violent with that. Like, yes, yes. So yeah, I am very happy about that. Let's see here. What was I looking? Oh, the front arms. Yes. So looking at the skeleton, I think I'm all right just keeping him on the outside like this, and that will give me plenty of room. So once again, it's just a repeat of what I just did. I'm going to go ahead and extrude, and I'm going to run this offset. I'm holding control to get that little more control. So I'm just running this out here till I have something I can kind of work with. Something like that. And then I'll bring this edge out, as so. Maybe even this whole face out a little bit, like that. And this face I will extrude.
Oh, also, if a reference has the legs in a position, do we just go for a best medium?
What do you mean in position?
Like if the legs are already kind of moving, do we just aim for the closest to a middle area?
Oh yeah, I see. In the like this, for example. Yeah, that's a great question, Matthew. So like here I've got, actually this looks funny. This leg just straight down. Looks like somebody else's leg. Like he's just standing there.
Kind of got like Ninja Turtle feet.
Yeah. So I'm using this as a static pose
Okay.
here, and then just off of my research, see how this leg has this bend in it like this. Well, I'm looking at a lot of these photos here. They all have a bend. So it looks like a lot of this dinosaur's weight was carried in its hind legs. And you can see that's where a lot of the girth is back here in this massive torso and these huge thighs. but these arms are smaller. But look at the support structures on these forearms. Those are for resting with a bend. This massive shelf out right here, the weight looks like it's distributed down. And I'm not an expert at this. I've just taken sculpture classes and drawing classes and anatomy classes, and I'm just drawing from what I know, from what I've heard, and also from what we understand from our own bodies. The way that our joints work and bodies work, we observe throughout the world and creation. So like this arm coming down here, this looks like it rests into this really wide joint. And a lot of these have like a squat kind of forward stance to them. If you look at some of even the drawings, this bend, like that's a nice straight leg, but the weight is definitely being held on both of those right now, which this is a little weird because most animals don't, you know, the weight's distributed like maybe the weight would be on, if the weight is on this foot, then it would probably need to also be on this back foot. So here, this bend, I mean, I like that. That's kind of one of the reasons why I chose this reference. I'm sure there is a scenario where it's just straight down, but they just always have a bend. So I'm going to make that my static leg.
Okay.
But I'll probably take the articulation out of this wrist right here. Meaning that when I run it down, it'll probably just be a little bit more straight down.
Okay, versus like that, it'll just be...
Yeah, I think, so this one for sure, and this one with maybe not so dramatic a bend. Whatever I can interpolate as static for this guy.
Cool. But that's also only if we're doing a model with the goal of rigging, right?
Yeah, again, and this is in the assignment, and I've said it a few times, but it is worth repeating that if you're modeling in a static pose, the advantages are you can use symmetry, you can mirror, you can use instance, you can do different things to speed up your modeling process. If you are modeling in a pose, then you do lose those things after a certain point, and you are kind of on your own to maintain those proportions and whatnot. But modeling in a pose, just for the purpose of doing that, is super dynamic and very, very cool. Mixed with a really awesome camera angle, you could really have an awesome portfolio piece. So I've done both. We didn't do it this time, but the last time we had an organic class, we did humanoid. We picked a celebrity and we modeled and sculpted the celebrity in a pose with things of their character that from whatever movie or whatever. And that was really fun. There was no intention of rigging them at all. It was just fun to make a pose. So that's totally fine if that's what you want to do. All right, so I've got those legs down. Bless you. I think I'll just continue on with this. Coming down here. I'll just rotate this around. I'm not going to get too crazy right here with this elbow and whatnot. What I really want to do first is just get the overall blocked forms in. The temptation to add detail, I don't know about you guys, but it is fierce for me. It is, I have to constantly remind myself, just take it easy and work with what you got for now. The detail comes later. I'm just going to rotate this around a little bit more and scale it in. Go. I think what this needs is another edge loop right here. And now I just need to kind of come around here and clean up some of these joints. So let me take a look at this. So I can already see I kind of got ahead of myself, and I should have come in here and messed with this first. So I might just do that. Get back up to this stump. I am going to bring this in a little bit more. And what could possibly be a huge mistake, I'm going to add an edge loop right here. And do what I did on the back and circularize. And just kind of mess with this twist a little bit. And that kind of helps out a little bit. Alright, I like where that's starting from a little bit better. And kind of bring this down. And this as well. I'm going to round this off. Push these back. Okay. Alright, so now, scale tool, and love this, just drag this down, boom, perfectly perpendicular. And I'm going to work with this now. I hope that's encouraging for y'all to see that, like, just how many times you do have to kind of walk it back sometimes. You do all this work and you're like, you know what? I wasn't thinking about this. It's not going to work like I think it is. I need to go back. All right. Extrude this. Alright, so now it's just going to be a bunch of bouncing back and forth between Smooth Mesh Preview and trying to get an idea of where these shoulder area things need to kind of be. So I'm just going to kind of pull around. I feel like these need to be a little further back, like this. And perhaps, if I look here, I can see this is my leg. I think I might actually bring these in, which is going to change this shape pretty significantly. Since I am working on this one side, I'm going to go ahead and delete half of this again. Front view, just grab all these faces and delete. Alright, so now I'm just going to kind of work here and see what this needs to look like. I have a feeling this needs to kind of come back because this thigh, I think it has a little bit more of a protrusion there. So it's going to seem a little extreme at this level of resolution, but I'm just going to kind of pull this forward and push this in. And I'm starting to get a little bit more of that joint where those tissues are holding that joint together up here. It's hard for us to relate to because of the way our thighs are, but like for this side mount like this, a lot of the joint moves around in the skin, but the muscle gives us good definition, and I think that's what I need right there. I am also going to drop another edge loop right here. It just feels like it needs to be there. I don't have any other reason than that. Alright. Whoops. Go pull up on this a little bit. And check my reference. I'm not keen on this flat spot up here. Let me see what I got going on. I think I need to kind of wander these things back down a little bit. Down yonder. Here we are. Lots of fine tuning. And remember, I'm saving, to me, the mouth and the head and the eyes, that's all detail. I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm thinking about main body stuff right now. So leave all that for later. Model it all together. If you want the mouth open, we can do exactly what I did earlier, and we'll just run an extrude, offset, push that in, and create a mouth, and then you'll have a jaw that you can work with. And if you want to model it with just the mouth closed, you can do like what Kayla's doing. Just have it so that the upper lip protrudes out a little bit and shove some teeth up in there, and that'll work too. There's a lot of ways to do this. I am going to model a mouth for mine because I want to be able to rig it. So I'm going to come back here for the back leg now. Turn on some transparency, because it looks like I've let this leg just get a little out of control here. I'm having a hard time seeing what I'm looking at, but I think these are, yeah, okay. So I need to kind of walk this in. I think what I need to do is work on this inner leg area here a little bit more. I'm going to grab these And this is just kind of like a leftover from when I was doing the profile. And this is good to talk about because this center line right here, this is what's going to hold the profile of this animal that I'm working off of a reference. After you work for a little while, if you notice your work is starting to get a little square, it's because you need to kind of start tapering up some of this next edge loop in type of thing. So if I grab some of these and start to kind of pull them up a little bit, I still have my center line. And when I mirror this over, I'm going to have to deal with this being a little bit too much of a point. It'll be too much of a V shape, and I'll have to kind of worry about that. But I think in this case, I'm going to pull these up a little bit more. And perhaps pull these out. I don't have a front reference. Nothing I really saw of much of a benefit other than just like a visual reference. So I am kind of on my own, which is dangerous and also very enjoyable because I can make this what I think, and I have some freedom here to move around away from my reference. But I do need to keep myself in check. So I think I'll leave that there for now and just see how that flows together. So let's see here. I'll grab these verts, check my right view, just taper these in like this. And I think these need to come forward like that. So I think this leg runs up right here. There we go. Yeah.
Is there a way to mirror an image plane in Maya, like flip it?
Oh yeah, yeah. You can just rotate it. Here, I'll show you real quick. You can just say. It's literally that easy. So I remember I have mine selected, so I can't because it's in this layer. So I could either reactivate this layer or just select it over here in the outliner. And in this case, I could just grab this and look, I'm in an orthographic view, and I'm going to hold J so it snaps to 15-degree increments. But I can just grab this and rotate it around. Boop.
It's very easy, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. All right, let's see here. Well, since I'm in the outliner, I'm just going to double click on this P cube 1 here and just call it stego body or something like that. All right. Alright, so I'm just going to extrude this out now to get the rest of the leg. Taper that in, and then extrude again, bring it down. So now I'm just going to kind of fine tune this a little bit more. Maybe bring these down, control slide, just to get a little bit more of a roundedness. Okay.
Where did this come from?
All right. All right, so let's see here. Just for now, I'm going to save the feet for another time, but I'm going to go ahead and mirror this over. I think this time I'll show you just what it's like from the options. I'm going to come in here in the mirror, and I'm going to go into the options, and you'll see they're just the same as what you get control of when you use the tool. I've got it in world 0 offset. I'm in the X for mirror axis. I'm mirroring in the negative direction because my mesh is on the positive side. And I want to combine with the original, merge these border vertices. This is an automatic threshold merge. And smoothing angle is 30. That's just kind of like every single edge loop you have has a smoothing angle that you give it. And this is what I think Maya just defaults to, 30 degrees. And everything else we just don't need to worry about here. So I'm going to go ahead and mirror. And run my checks again. Always check it when you mirror, because you get to working and all of a sudden you're like, what? Why isn't this working? Why do I have these problems with my edge loops and stuff? And you might have a floating vert where something didn't merge right. So I'm going to go smooth mesh preview first. A lot of times if you have a floating vert, you'll see an anomaly in the edge loop itself. And on a mirror, you're only going to have trouble on your center line. So that's just where you need to kind of do your hunting and looking here. So now I'm going to triple check it by going to vertex mode and just looking around there. Yes?
Can you do the not soft view of the bottom of your mesh?
Sure.
Yeah, mine's not in my control.
Oh, that's okay. Now, remember, there's a lot of ways to do all of these things.
Oh yeah, mine just doesn't look good. That's why I was.
Well, if you do this, this is very similar to what Vinny's videos are for the elephant, and that is in the assignment. So if you're having a hard time, I will be posting this on Discord, but you'll have that as well. Alrighty. So let's see where I was here. Getting everything blocked in pretty good. I still have to do the feet, and I want to keep this at this lower resolution as much as possible. If I come out of smooth mesh preview, you can see that this isn't like, doesn't look great or anything, but I'm just trying to get all the major forms in first. And I've got one vert here kind of scooting out kind of high, but that's all right. Scoot that down a little bit. And a lot of this, like I'm getting a little concerned about this hip area here and how that's going to work out. Like maybe I need to tuck that in, but really I can kind of do a lot of that when I up the resolution again. So I'm going to resist that urge to get too deep in the weeds around this area, because I'll be able to pull more things around when I have more topology, and I'll be able to do even more when we get into Mudbox and whatnot. So I think I'm going to focus on the feet, and then I'll do the larger details of the head, like the mouth and the eye sockets here on the head. Alright. Just to see where I was, I think I'm going to delete half of this and mirror it over again. Whoops, lost a couple faces back there. There we go. Once again, just do my checks real quick. Make sure all my verts are merged. Check it in smooth, looking for any edge loops that appear to be a little wonky. And that looks good, so triple check it by going into vert mode and just looking to make sure I don't have any floaters on that center line. That'll give me trouble with my topology down the road. Alright, cool. On to the feet. So this can be tricky because I'm looking at these toes. It looks like they start to articulate just below this wrist area. So I need to be very careful about how I do this. I'm still just going to block out major forms, and I think what I'll do is I'll pull this stump down, shape the better part of the foot, and then when I up the resolution, I'll extrude the toes out from there. That's the plan anyway. So let's just do that. Marquee select these faces, Control deselect the ones I don't want, and extrude this down. I'm going to go ahead and go with world on this. And I'll just pull this down to here. And I think I'm going to add an edge loop here. So I definitely grabbed both of those legs when I did that, and if I'm thinking about adding an edge loop here, I would either have to do it one at a time or just do one and mirror it, or I could see if this will work. If I just hold shift out here, I kind of know I want this edge loop to be across this, but if I hold shift, well, first let me get into the tool. I'm going to multi-cut, and if I hold shift out here, I have a line, and you can see it's kind of snapping, which is probably like either 15-degree or 5-degree increments. I think it's 15-degree increments. And I can just drag it across, and that will get everything behind it, including both legs. So I just got them approximate, and I'm happy with that. So just to show that again, I can be out here in space, hold down shift, well, while I'm in multi-cut, holding down shift, and I have my line started out here, and I just drag across. And it not only goes on the leg that I'm looking at in that profile view, it goes on the one behind it, anything that's stacked up behind it. So now I can kind of just tighten those up if I want to. Control shift just to slide them down. And I'm doing this because of joints. I'm just thinking about joints that are going to be here and just having a little bit more topology in those places. My history is stacking up here from before even, so I think I'm going to go ahead and delete that just by holding spacebar, coming down to edit, and delete by type history. Alright, so we got the rear stumps. let's take a look at these front ones. Same thing, we'll extrude those. And I think I'm going to hit G to repeat that command, extrude again, to give me my wrist there. And then maybe just turn these a little bit. And shrink them down. I'll do that later when I can do it all at once. And extrude again. And just bring that down to about right there. All right. Got some foot stumps. I kind of want these front feet to be a little wider, so I'm going to circularize these a little better. Maybe I'll see how this works. Here we go. Just kind of walk it down like that a little bit. Widen that foot out. There we go. Alrighty. So now I'm just going to double check everything around here. Maybe I'll just make these all a little bigger. save. Alright, so I'm going to move on to the head here in a second. First, I'm just going to kind of go over it again real quick, make sure that I have everything kind of pulled to my reference, which isn't like crazy important, but it is what I'm working off of, so just kind of pull it down a little bit. Pull that down, make sure I grab the right ones. Yep. There we go. I think I like this being a little thicker here. Bless you. So last night I watched Studio Ghibli movie, The Wind Rises, for the first time. Have you guys seen that one? No? That one's pretty good. It's like the life story of this guy in Japan and this girl. It was really long, but it was good. I had never heard of it before.
My youngest, his favorite is Ponyo.
Oh yeah, I love that one.
Watch that on freaking repeat.
Yeah.
I didn't care if it was on like in Japanese or in English. You just loved that movie.
Yep, same. My kids watched it at least twice a week for a while.
Mine was always Kiki's Delivery Service and Spirited Away. I would watch those two like all the time.
Spirited Away was my first one, so it's always kind of like
Yeah.
the headliner for me.
You guys ever seen Porco Rosso?
No, we were looking at that.
That one's one of my favorites.
Really? Okay. We were looking at that one last night.
They have like, I think they have all of them on like HBO or something, right?
They're on Max, so they have commercials. Some of them don't have dubs, so like I hadn't seen Princess Mononoke, and we watched that about 2 or 3 nights ago.
Is that one good? I haven't
Oh,
seen that
yeah.
one yet either.
That was really good. And the Max only had it in Japanese, and I don't like to do that. I like to watch the artwork and stuff, and if I'm reading the whole time, when it comes to the Ghibli movies, I feel like I miss out on everything.
Yeah.
I'm certified banger. Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh yes, yeah, that is a very good one. I like that one a lot.
I need to catch up on my Studio Ghibli movies.
Okay, I think overall, I am happy with where this is at, so kind of playing with this. I'm just going to need more topology for that part, so I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to see if I can make a mouth here. Got the eye up here. Let's see if there's a couple of things I could do. I do see that the eye is right there. If I lift these up, and add another edge loop in here. And right here as well. I think then that this now becomes my eye socket, so I'm going to extrude an offset here. Just bring that in. Use these scaling cues on my manipulator to kind of bring that around. Whoop. And I think position this up here a little higher. And I might even, see, I'm getting into details now and I shouldn't. So I think I'm just going to wait right there. At least I have something. So let's just solidify this area. And extrude that inside a little bit. Alright, so at least I've got my eye socket kind of ready right there. Alright, let's see about this mouth. I think I'm going to add another edge loop right here just to keep that separate. And grab some of these faces here. Definitely all of these. Maybe not that. Just those around there. Extrude that. Just the offset though. And I'm going to just grab these verts that I've made from this offset and just kind of position them around.
Family watch a lot of anime?
We started with the Ghibli movies when they were little, but my son got really big into it in the last 5 years or so. So I used to walk in the room and see him, watching Demon Slayer, and I was like, "What is this garbage?" And because I didn't know,
Yeah.
You look at the animation, and to me, I'm just like, "This looks weird,"
Yeah.
I don't get it. And he's like, just watch it. So I'll watch anything with him. So I sat down and I'm like absolutely hooked. So good. So then he just started like, we were watch this one, watch that one. So I just started watching them.
Do you
And
guys have a Crunchyroll?
oh yeah,
Oh, okay.
oh yes.
Yeah, my husband's the one that got the rest of us into it. And like my oldest has been watching anime since he was probably like, I don't know, 6 or 7, I feel like.
Yeah.
And now he's starting to get into like more of them and like find his own shows. he has to ask us first, because, like, some of them, you never know what's in there.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
has to be one that his dad has seen so he can approve it.
We got my son this magazine one time for Christmas, put it in a stocking, and we didn't open it. We were just like, oh, it's anime, and it was like 100% hentai.
Oh my god.
Like, that boy was back in his room for a little while, and I was like, I haven't seen him in a while. And I walk in, and I was like, the hell are you
Okay,
looking
but
at?
would you get that kind of thing from
Give me
your
that.
parents?
Yeah, that was a
Wow.
test. You passed. Barely. Yeah, I felt so bad. I'm like, I'm sorry, but his eyes are huge. I'm like, yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's really funny though.
It happens. I have a core memory of, like, my mom would be like, oh, you guys are into manga. Here's a big box I got from the thrift store.
Mm.
And I was like looking at it, I was like, this has a sticker that says R18 on the front. And it's like the old, like, yaoi. It's
Mm.
like one of the guys is really big with the huge hands.
Mm. Yeah. It's good stuff right
I was
there.
like, she didn't know.
Let's see here.
Have you guys watched Tokyo Ghoul?
What is it?
Tokyo Ghoul.
Uh-uh.
That one's pretty good. I don't watch a whole lot of anime. I'll just watch like random ones. But Demon Slayer and Tokyo Ghoul are the two that I've like seen all the way through.
Oh, okay.
And then same with or I'm starting on Attack on Titan right now.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. My husband really likes that one.
Yeah.
But Tokyo Ghoul is, I guess, like a little more gory. I think your son's older though, right?
He's 15, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he'd probably be fine. It's not like over the top, but it's not like. I mean, I guess if you guys have watched Demon Slayer, I feel like it's not too much worse than that.
Yeah. I'll have to check it out. He's watched a bunch that I don't have any interest in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, my son was watching one that was like reincarnated as slime. Like he'll just find like random crap to watch, and I'm like, alright, man.
No,
you're-
that was one of the most popular ones.
Is it
Yeah.
really? He finds like random stuff. He like tries to explain them to me too, and I'm like, I don't understand why you're watching this, but go for it, man.
yeah.
Whatever you're into, dude. Just keep it under PG-14 right now.
Yeah.
I accidentally made this like stupid little one black somehow.
Howdy.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Got a very snazzy turtle though.
Let's see.
Oh, there's the other one. The standard model. It's the Super Raptor. Oh, no, that's something for.
All right.
I think I can be treated like this.
Yeah, I mean, he's done.
Yeah.
So, I made progress at my house. But also it looks kind of weird. And I'd like suggestions on where to go from here.
Okay.
But we need to we don't gotta do that right now.
All right. So I'm gonna work with this head for now. Still not sure if I'm gonna stick with it or not. We'll see. Those need to come out. That needs to come in. All right. Check on the reference here. Let's see. Maybe I can pull all these down a little bit more. Hmm?
You haven't even started yet, you know. Nowhere near, yeah. Definitely not anywhere near done.
Yeah, come on. We're all so ahead of you, dude. You gotta.
Here are the the promised latissimus dorsi, deltoids, biceps, triceps. I'll add some veins and stuff out there. So
Oh my
concept.
Oh, dude.
You're creating new kaiju
Probably
at this
count
point.
on that right now because that thing is insane.
So I have this thing called multi-resolution that you can do with Blender. You
Oh
can't do
yeah,
with
that's
Maya.
right. I
So
think
the
you
poly count
told
is
me about this before.
this.
Oh, okay.
Probably will want to apply even
Looks like it's mouth
something
shaped.
like
I
this
kind of
before I rig it.
hate the like. Is that the default color for the meshes in Blender?
You can
It just
change
looks
it.
like flesh, and it's like
Yeah.
gross looking sometimes.
That's better.
Beautiful.
I gotta learn Blender, man.
Yeah, it seems to have some cool tools in there.
Yeah.
But I really don't want to try and learn a whole nother 3D software right now. There's
Well,
too many of them.
don't expect it to be like learning Maya again.
Yeah, for everything I've seen from Blender, it's like, oh, you figured out the basic controls? Alright, you're good. Maya was like, but which submenu? You got big arms. I respect it. It's like a big sausage dog. In your space. What's that? New part.
What?
No.
Like, look at how big that is. I just have that. $25. See, I was wondering why there was such a big market for these, because they're kind of like everywhere. Like, eBay is selling a bunch of beef or whatever. What else is Floridians gonna do?
It's simply evil. Evil is selling a bunch of feet. No, that's fair. This is like the number one export for
Right?
alligators.
So, it really is. Let's see.
Well,
These guys have some crazy meshes. But that's cute.
mm,
The other one is just like
maybe herb. I don't know.
cuter.
Yeah. It's kind of spiky.
Imagine he's actually on the wall. Dude, that'd be crazy.
No,
If alligators could climb on walls.
I'll be done.
Like, why aren't chain link fences?
Yeah, that's different than like you having to look at your walls to make sure they're not gonna jump down at you though.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you go to your house and you're like, man, it's a little crusty in here. I've kind of not been in here for a while. Then you
Mm.
see an alligator on the wall instead of a spider.
Yeah.
On the wall, then it's my alligator. Yeah. Oh,
They're
I left
already
the back
shaping
door
up.
open a little too long. Ah!
I also just can't imagine like going out onto your back porch and you see an alligator or like going over a chain link fence. Just walk outside and you're like,
Dude,
I
there's
just
a video of someone in Florida being like, you know, God damn it, my like garage flooded again. They were like, but it sounded like a tree came through or something. I don't know. saw something bust down the garage door, and they open it, and they're like, alright, nothing in here, just a ton of water, and then an alligator just launches and starts like running at the door, and they just pull it. Like, nope.
No. That's horrible. That's terrifying. I like how fast
Getting jump
they
scared
are.
by alligators is like, heck no. I'm good. We don't have to do that.
Speaking of Florida, did you see how what's his name? The guy named Lieutenant Dan is braving Milton in his boat, like off of Tampa Bay.
I didn't see that. I do know that there were a disappointing amount of Twitch streamers that were like, I'm gonna go to Florida and it's not gonna do anything.
Yeah.
And then they, yeah.
There was a lot of people that are like, since the hurricane is here, Disney World's empty.
What? Yeah,
So what,
so
how much do you think the tickets were?
yeah, but like, are they just gonna walk? I mean,
I bet Fast Pass works this time.
you know, too. So there was this Twitch streamer who he specifically went down to Florida with a
Mhm.
tent and an air mattress to try to win money, and the guy who was supposed to give him money is like,
No,
you're not
yeah.
actually getting money. Evacuate. It's
I'm not
category 5
trying to go to
hurricane.
jail because I set up a challenge.
Well, it downgraded down to category 3, but it's a lot bigger.
The
No,
one that
'cause if
just
it was-
hit Florida?
It
Well,
like
the last one like completely wrecked it already, so even a category 3 is gonna just destroy what's left.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's still definitely better than like they were making it like some end of times tornado, and then it was like,
Well,
okay,
the
it's
one
still
that-
really bad though.
Mm.
The one that just hit before this one,
Mhm.
they said was bigger than like Katrina.
Yeah.
Like, it was huge. And
Yeah,
like by the
Katrina was a
time-
3.
The petition to see if they could like change the scaling system.
Right,
What
yeah.
do you mean by change the scaling system?
So if there was a category 5, they were like, we could have a 6. Like there can be, it can go up to 6, right? And then it went down. Which is good.
Can you imagine if they're like, hey guys, we have to change the scale for this hurricane. It's a 6.
You guys,
Well-
like,
Like,
I said it's the worst you can get, but it's worse.
We're on a scale of 1 to 10 now. You're like, it's
Yeah.
an 8.
It's actually an 11. Like,
Oh my gosh, yes.
we're sorry, we kind of lied with the scale, but you know, it's bad. Don't eat it.
just to stress to you how dangerous this one is specifically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's kind of crazy to me about the hurricane is how, like in North Carolina and stuff, like the entire like geography of that area has completely changed from the flooding.
Mm.
Like I feel like
Gosh, what?
it's humbled a lot of people of like they're like, oh, we changed nature, and then the floods came and they're like,
You didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like a lot of people like wouldn't evacuate either because they're like,
Yeah.
no, it'll be fine. And then they were like stuck in their houses while there's like water rising. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you probably should have listened.
yeah,
I mean, a lot of the places that got flooded really bad were like many, many miles inland.
Yeah.
yeah. See, like I saw a lot of people like because especially in like the place where oh my gosh, what mountain was it?
The big one.
Yeah, yeah.
Appalachians?
The people who lived near there, they like lived like, especially the people who lived up on the hill. I saw a lot of them being like, I live up on this big ass hill. How is this water gonna get me? And then like they come outside their house and they're like,
Uh-oh.
because I guess like a lot of people forget that when water goes into soil, soil moves, and so that mountain is gonna go bye bye.
No, soil stays.
Well, the place is also kind of like a rainforest, you know, and there's so much water underground there, and it rains a lot, so it's pretty saturated already.
Yeah, I was gonna say if they're like, what is it, the water table or watershed, whatever is like underground, like the water levels.
Yeah, it's just
already high. And then,
right
like,
there.
There's nowhere for it to go.
Yeah, so that
Gabriel.
just ruined everything they had. That was so crazy.
The dinosaur makes it look like he's like going through like fucking time machine existence changer. He's like losing his shit.
Is Milton still going through Florida, or has it like?
I think so. I haven't looked to see where it's at right now. Check the radar.
It was hitting my father-in-law's house in like Orlando last night, but it was like
Oh no, this one's
I
just
think it might have
happening
been like a
right
Cat
Yeah.
It's still saying it was a Cat 1 the entire time. Like it hit Florida and stayed a Category 2 and then a Category 1 and then just kept going as a hurricane, which usually doesn't happen after it hits land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like it's pretty just much off the East Coast. Watch it just like circle back around.
What? Oh my god, that is so wild.
And then
It's like Earth's just trying to destroy Florida. And it needs to go.
Guys, this actually wasn't that bad. And then it's like, oh shoot, you're telling me Florida's still here?
Yeah, look, I think if it's to get Florida off the map, you might have to make some sacrifices. No more Florida.
Oh, that hurricane's gonna hit another hurricane. Well, no, they might miss each other. There's like another one that's like in the middle of the ocean, not around anything.
Maybe if we shoot the hurricane with fire.
that didn't work out in my last D&D session. We fought this wind elemental, and my friend set it on fire, and
Oh my god.
it was worse. Yeah.
Okay, well maybe if we throw boulders
I
at
thought
it.
in Brooklyn too. Like, they set the whole
Oh,
forest
I
on
got
fire
it. We
or
can cut
whatever.
up a
Yeah.
hurricane with a ton of broken glass. That'll fix it.
Yeah, yeah.
These sharks,
Right.
surely
Yeah.
will blow it down.
She's already
Hurricanes
addicted to
hate
screens,
glass.
so I'm like,
Dude, Moana is like magical
The
for
only
babies.
reason the
I don't know
hurricanes
what it
we
is,
were
but like
playing
me and my sister-in-law, like Moana was our like magic movie if we needed like a second to
how
just
old?
it like it's when they're like under a year old, they'll just like chill. I don't know if it's because like of the music or what, but the
Yeah.
water, I don't know, they're like super into it though.
Yeah.
And then they were like,
No, like whenever we watch a movie now, like we just find her like staring at the screen. We're like, whoa, too early.
Okay,
You're only
yeah.
3 months. And so we'll like,
I'm not trying to say that they aren't
you know,
good
stand
at
her up and
better
face her towards us,
Like,
and she'll be like turning all the way around. Like, oh my goodness.
Turbulence.
You might get addicted to
we went
them.
there to try to get like the data for it, but like
As soon as she's old enough to like know what's actually going on the screen, we'll probably be watching a lot fewer
like they're
movies.
trying to figure out
Yeah,
why
that's
they're
what happened to me. 'Cause I was home with our son for like the first like 2 years.
Yeah.
And
now the ocean is
I would like just catch up on shows or whatever because I'm just sitting there holding a baby the whole time. And then as soon as we started like actually watching stuff with me, I was like, great, now it's Disney all the
Yeah,
time. Like
yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
kids movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't you know you're responsible for every mistake the human race has ever
Taylor
made.
Swift taking a jet to go to the bathroom. That's her fault. But there was like a meme because she kept like flying everywhere. Her like flight pattern was insane.
The fact that people even work up her flight pattern is
That's
also insane. Like I get people were like looking for like private
Yeah,
jets,
did you see the
like,
one where it was like how many times
locations
she
or
went to
something,
like
and
New
they're
York?
like, see, she's
Yeah, that
wasting
shit was
fuel
insane.
and
Like
money
20
and
times
blah
the
blah
span
blah.
of like 5
You are
years.
wasting fuel and money by supporting her.
Yeah, but if she lives there, she'd have to pay higher taxes.
But isn't she
Don't
like
tax extremely rich? I feel like once you get to a certain amount of money, you shouldn't worry that much about the taxes of the state you're in.
I
mean, a lot of people, rich people
taxes
pay
are
taxes.
theoretically supposed to go up if you make more money though.
Yeah.
So then you're
I don't
just
know.
still paying
There's
more.
a
Yeah, but it's making more money.
Yeah.
Well, it goes up percentage wise. Like
Yeah.
it's a larger percentage of your
Of your
income.
income,
Twitter
yeah.
account that
So
just
it's
So
not
it
like
says
us
every single
paying
movement
2% or
At a
whatever.
certain point, when you're making that much money,
Just Regina for you.
it still
Yeah,
not,
that's-
doesn't mean
that's-
$1
anything.
billion is quite a
But
big
she's
amount.
also, like,
She's also
investing it,
spending a lot of
so-
money to be
No.
able to
I
make
think
that much
that's
money.
also
So like
I
I feel
couldn't
like
spend $1 billion.
I don't know. There's probably a lot more that goes into it. She probably still has a crap ton of like disposable income, but
Yeah.
I mean
convention.
Yeah.
Once again, I think I could buy almost everything at a convention.
I think
And
the
still be under
moment
$1 billion.
they know that you have $1 billion, the prices are gonna jump.
$1 billion is a lot, you'd probably be way fine.
Cause
$1
like,
billion is way more than you
imagine they
think.
get it for $5, but now it's $400
talking
million.
about buying everything.
Okay, but I don't think they can upcharge just individual people. Like, even
I
if they
think-
knew I was a billionaire,
maybe
I
not
don't think they can
legally.
just say, oh, I meant 500.
Oh my god, that's really funny.
I don't think legally they can. I think they still can now.
They can't. I mean, legally they can't, but I mean, like, it's just a lot of the vendors at the con will buy stuff from Simon Charles and sell it for twice. I literally saw a figure that I bought at Simon Charles for $25, and someone was selling it there for $60, and I was sitting there like,
Ugh.
you can go down the street and get this. What are you doing?
Hey, dude, if you're willing to walk like actually 5 minutes.
I mean, like, hell, I'll drive you to Second and Charles. Don't pay that, please. So I was like, oh, that looks really cool. I'll buy that. And then I look it up on Amazon. I'm like, that's half the price. Yeah, like the.
But you didn't factor in shipping.
I'm sorry.
Hey, counter offer, it's here right now.
Instant gratification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, you could save quadruple the money, or
Just like you could just like,
Freaking
you know,
catalog.
send me pictures. I gotta get like
What I'm trying to finish.
things that someone has made. Because I'm not finding that on Amazon. I'd have to find your specific account.
you
Yeah.
could actually, unless you go to the freaking guy, I got custom art from a guy because it was like, dude, this is sick. And then I found out that that was like a print of like 400, even though he said it wasn't. So, okay, thanks, dude.
What? He lied?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That shit's still good on my
Stole
wall.
art? Still gonna.
Yeah. A little disappointed because he said it like he made. I didn't care really, but he kept going. No, this is the only one. It's not a print. And I was like, okay. And then I looked at his Instagram and it was a print. I was like, dude, what? Like,
Well, maybe you bought the original, and everything else was a print.
Yeah.
then there would still be a print.
Yeah, but you don't have a print. You have the original. Isn't that different?
It was a digital painting, but this particular print of that digital painting was the original, and all the others were just prints.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So that's actually like the first one that he printed. It just doesn't count as a print because it's the first one.
No, true. I didn't think about that. It makes it all better. Oh, fuck happened to the tail?
I think, so I went to the con that was this last weekend, and I thought it was crazy that there was like 2 whole vendors there that had like AI pins. I say
What?
AI pins, but it's like, some of them look AI and then some of them just look straight up stolen. Like, you know the Sheen pins that you can get and they're like atrociously made and they're obviously stolen? There was 2 whole vendors who had like 2 giant panels of these pins. And you like walk in and you're immediately like, that's stolen. That's
That's
stolen.
funny. I mean, shot in the dark did not make any of this.
It's starting to make it hard to find like references for stuff too without like
Mhm.
being AI.
Yeah.
Oh my god, Dino Time. Bro, I can't remember.
She totally didn't notice.
I mean, these things
Miss
are like,
Hart
no, that's
pulled up a
5
picture of a
fingers.
hand.
Oh,
She was like,
yeah,
all right,
yeah,
try
with
to
the-
draw this hand.
I didn't
And I'm
notice
like,
it at first either.
It had the right number of fingers, but the wrong number of knuckles.
Yeah, I didn't notice it and you pointed it out and then I had to count like 4 different times because I was like, no, it can't be.
It was 100%.
I was like really into like Zelda stuff and was going. It was just like on Twitter and I was like, oh, who is like following this like very obviously AI generated Twitter account? And he was like, what? It's not AI. And so we went through every single image of this account and it was like they had like 10 different styles. But then also they all like randomly did the like super smooth like at the very end, and so they'd be like, no guys, look, I totally drew this, and then they would draw like a sketch, and then it would be the final image. It's like, there's nothing sketchy here. I totally, yeah.
I bet you did draw.
Hmm.
And I like how AI art makes like custom art more accessible though.
It's mine now. It's custom because I generated it.
What's so funny
It's a lot easier.
is the ones people on Facebook will see like the hurricane pictures and they're like, it's so sad for the people in Florida. It's not real. And they're like, this poor baby and her puppy are stuck.
And your puppy.
God bless them.
AI generated picture of Jesus. There were a bunch of people being like, He is like he's returned. Yeah, it's like dude, no, there's no way that y'all are like.
Yo, Jesus, welcome back to the
It's like
party.
he doesn't even have a hand. Like you can see where it's like this gnarled like mass of fingers.
That's a white guy. That's
Yeah.
not. Anyway, wait a second.
There's a whole genre
Fucking
of
retarded.
images of Jesus posing with flight attendants.
Oh, I've seen
yeah.
those.
Yeah. And it often turns into like Jesus is turning into an airplane.
He has ruined you guys sometimes.
Literally.
I don't ever see any
Well,
of
this
this
is
stuff.
this is like
Jesus
if you go to
people
Facebook,
being like, I thought we killed him.
basically.
Like,
I mean,
it's
I
like,
use
And
Facebook.
I
I use Facebook and like Instagram.
I guess if you have the relatives that I do.
Gotcha. Okay.
Grandma watching
Yeah, I'm
GTA,
waiting
he
for
was
the
so
the shark on the highways photo to pop back up. Have you seen that one? It shows up every time there's a
Okay,
hurricane.
kind of on
It's
the
like
same
it's
note, when I was
flooded so
younger,
much that
I
there's
woke up
sharks
and
just swimming
I
through
don't
the
know which
streets
Chucky
now.
movie it is, but one of the parts is talking about the
No,
first
but it wouldn't
movie
surprise me
in
if
the
I
news
saw it.
story, and I'm like
Pretty sure that one
6,
was
and so I
back
just
in like
walk in and see
Photoshop
them
days,
talking
so
about
it's
a
not
dog
AI
murdering a
image,
bunch of
it's
people, and I'm just
something.
like, shit, that's crazy. Like, that's real? And then I just went to sleep, and and then a few years later, I watched the Chucky movie, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like, I actually just like, I didn't believe it anymore, but I definitely thought that there was a doll that killed a bunch of people when I was younger. I'm just like, yeah, I guess that's something I gotta watch out for.
crazy enough for me.
Did you think, cause like AI images are just not enjoyable to look at, but I am very appreciative of like people on Facebook not registering that like the most obvious stuff is definitely fake.
Fucking video kills her. Fucking picture kills me every time.
It's like a picture of Jesus with a dodo. Someone's like, I fucking know. Like, they're still here.
Hashtag
No.
he has risen.
Yeah, dude, he has. He's back, guys.
When Jesus famously visited New Zealand.
Yeah, with this season 2 of Jesus Air.
Or have you seen those really badly like AI generated like they say animated videos, but it's like the cat ones and they have like the AI generated story over it too. I hate when they also AI generated like if you're gonna be that cheap, you're telling me you have to also you're not even you can't even come up with the story. What was the point of making this at all? Yeah. And why are all the AI generated stories like depressing? Like everything like
Yeah,
you're
no.
like my husband died, my child died, I got into a car wreck, I fell off a bridge, I experienced a
Me and everyone I know is
Of the
now
world.
exploded.
It's because ChatGPT scanned the whole internet, and there's a lot of stories they said. 13-year-olds on the internet.
ChatGPT does not want to be alive. This is a cry for help. It's like, please turn off the server. Exposed it to Twitter for 5 minutes and it was done.
And then you started calling it some grok, and you were like, are you okay?
No. You see? Yeah. Okay.
Oh. You know what's crazy? Sometimes when teachers show you stuff, you should pay attention because you forget like the moment you meant to do it.
What'd you forget, Matthew?
I don't want to say it because you're gonna be really disappointed.
Oh no, it's okay. You want me to come over there? Plates. So I'm just gonna take a break from the body and make a plate here. Sometimes I need to just kind of like stop whatever it is I'm doing and make something else just to think.
I'll let you know when I haven't seen it posted on there yet. I don't know when they're planning on posting
Dude,
it.
that looks fantastic. What are you laughing
I
at?
haven't gone into work.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe
They're
it
like
looks a
really
little funny.
questioning.
But
Are they laughing at your expense, Matthew?
no, it was
It's like a certain
the
hour.
foot ratio
Like
on one
I've
of
put in
the
0
models.
hours the
I
last
was
like 2 weeks.
really into like doing all the toes and like the nails and the foot.
Yeah.
But I haven't made really anything else.
Oh.
So one
this
square.
is the company.
And
If
then
you
it'll
wanna like
really-
follow
Yeah.
them, and then
Realistic
you'll,
foot.
it'll be easy
Ah, I
to
see.
say post a position.
But I only have to
Gino
pick one, and then I just
vaguely what
reflect
the
it's
drawing
out.
There you go.
I think mine
I
was
saw
for
the
like
Naruto
digital
artist
artists
that
you
did
didn't
like
hire.
shows. That was, I think, made
I
sure
don't
to be
know
very clear.
because they were specifically like they wanted someone that could do the same job as me and Allie, but like you could also do technical illustration type stuff, or like that was more detail oriented for that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's for a different project that they're gonna be doing.
Yeah, that was
I don't know.
a
So
response.
Intuitive, you prefer something more medical?
no, it's
I don't
Intuitive
know.
Research
Yeah, I don't
and
think they've asked
Technology
us that.
Center.
I would love
Yeah, if
to.
you
I
just
would
put
love
in
to hear.
Intuitive, there's like a surgical center.
Yeah,
It's
Naruto.
supposed to
Oh,
say
okay.
too.
Naruto. It's the name. You said Naruto. And that was fascinating.
I don't know.
Yeah,
What
I
I've
know.
heard people
I
call
was
that.
gonna say, you see, it's fine if you call it that because you don't know, but the fact that I was talking to someone like, yeah, have you seen Naruto? And they're like, I don't know what that is. And I was like, oh, well, I think I showed them a picture. And they're like, oh, Naruto. It's like, what are you talking about? Why did you, what?
You're like, yep.
Why
Gino.
did-
That is what you call it. How do you still?
But also they've only seen like one episode and I had finished it. And I feel like at that point I know more
Sorry, but I'm better than you at this. Not the full range, but
Right, but like, listen.
Yeah, that's kind of. Yeah, I don't know when they're planning on posting the roles. Like, I don't know if they're gonna try and like
I don't know
hire
how
for
I
the
fucked this up.
spring or for next summer. I have no idea. So,
no, I should probably make sure it's not
but they tell me when they have that. But I did tell
Yeah.
our like lead digital artist was the one that
Do we have like,
specifically had
I
anything
have
to recommend, and I whatever I know
photos
everything.
of that one.
Thanks.
Maybe they'll
Appreciate
put
that.
one. Maybe put one of
Hey, okay. The last time I played Monster Hunter, there's a weird big bat thing. Am I supposed to fight that yet? Because that thing was messing me up like instantly. Okay, that makes. Cause yeah, I'm fucking. I did
It looks
one.
great that you are, right? Poison.
I did get poisoned. It's like blade wings.
Oh, it's kind of looks more like a jaguar.
Yeah, like the jaguar.
No, that's an early one in the
Oh, well, that
DLC.
sucks because I'm so bad at it. Wait, that's DLC?
Yeah, I think so.
That's scary. Okay, well.
No, I think kind of like a leaf.
this guy. You found his cool friends. He's so cool.
You found it. Dude, yeah, that thing is evil.
Fucking terrifying.
I feel like I'm cool with animals being big, but like the whole body needs to be big, not just one part. Like it can't just be really big head.
I mean, honestly, it's just like a colossal head. The whole thing is huge. It's just disproportionate.
I mean the number of selected edge. Oh, okay. Well, symmetry EQ. Oh. Because I'm being stupid. That would do it.
You know, I'm kind of glad that the dinosaurs went extinct because I don't think I'd survive.
Mm.
That is
I don't know.
large.
I don't think dinosaurs have ever had to deal with the Baja Blast.
You think just being at one Taco
Yeah.
Bell Baja Blast would kill it
Look,
instantly?
Look, we have
Or
immunities
vanilla
to so
lemonade.
many things. They probably would also, but if you just drop them into like current time, they die like real quick. They're gonna be like, what the hell is COVID-19? And you're like, haha, we're not vaccinated. Yeah, sorry, stupid. I'm not vaccinated.
He's all like, "Wow, I'm a dinosaur. I have a parking ticket." Ah.
What do you mean I have to pick up the food myself?
What the hell is a no-fly zone?
Yeah.
This bird is made of metal and it's shooting me.
Shooting me.
Imagine dinosaurs came back and we just decided, no, I think they should stay extinct and just start killing them all.
Look,
The simplest way
I've
to like
seen
Jurassic Park with them and then change their minds.
Yes.
I've seen every movie with America and aliens. I know how we'd react the moment anything that we're not fully okay with shows up. Start unloading like every type of bullet into it.
Mm-hmm.
If it explodes, we can use it.
We come up with something really messed up, like a rapid growth, accelerated growth dinosaur bomb, where you just drop a bomb and then all these dinosaurs pop out of it and they just grow instantly and they're like, rah!
They've got like a 1-day lifespan.
Yeah, it's just for an hour of terror.
Yeah, yeah.
Wasn't that the plot of Horizon
Oh, like,
Zero Dawn?
Isn't it?
Wait, actually,
Played
yeah.
that game, but I can't remember the story.
It's like robot
It's got the you're all
dinosaurs.
Yeah, they're like
robots
robot
and STEM.
dinosaurs. Yeah. Man, I need to play that game.
I feel like mine looks like he has like a spit cannon.
I like we should just bring
Right,
dinosaurs
like,
back as like
yeah,
miniature ones.
that guy
And then
has
just
a
like
country
make into like
Yeah.
Pokemon, train them to fight each other and stuff.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Trying to fight each other. Like, I mean, chickens do still exist. People
I
still
mean,
kill
yeah,
them.
they're like less,
Oh.
they're
People
less
do
cool
think
than
I just find
humans
them
though.
Like the ankles, that's so fucked up.
Do you think dinosaurs taste like chicken?
They
It's
probably
like
taste
Honestly,
chicken.
but it's supposed to.
It tastes
People
like
eat
dino
alligator.
nuggets.
and
Yeah,
it's
How?
alligator's like chewier than chicken though.
Yeah.
I don't,
If
it's not my
Tyson's been
favorite.
lying to
But,
me
like,
about what
I feel like-
dinosaur meat tastes
Yeah.
Like
like.
dinosaurs
It's probably
tasted like
similar.
anything.
Yeah.
I swear I was reading like a scientific thing and they actually said, you know, if this dinosaur were in real life, like if it was still alive, it would taste like this because of the fat concentrate in the muscles. And I was like, what do you?
One of my favorite things about some sciences, because you can say that and no one can disprove you. You have no way to say that I'm wrong.
Some scientists say.
Yeah, I mean that reminds me of. I don't remember why. At some point, I was writing on hyenas, and the Wikipedia article for hyenas has like a little blurb about like this is how much protein is in hyena milk, and I'm like, are you telling me you milk the
Whoa.
hyena for your scientific
Yeah,
paper?
how'd you get
Who was that guy? The first person who was like, dang, that's
What was it? There
some
was
good hyena milk right there.
one thing we were talking about in one of our biology classes, and they were like, some animals do this. One researcher found that this animal does this, but it was the only living specimen and it died. He was the only one who saw it.
Wow.
Seems awfully
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't just say, guys, this crazy stuff happened, but there's no evidence and you can't fact check it.
You must believe me.
Isn't that basically the people who say they were abducted by aliens?
Yeah, it's, I mean, look,
Yeah.
how do you know I wasn't?
Okay, but they're not lying.
I only know that some people
Yeah,
like, oh, they were
My
found like
evidence? Trust
5
me.
miles from their house. Like I don't know how I got here. Like sleepwalking is crazy.
Also, meth,
Yes.
probably.
All the things
There's a
that
lot of
keep you
drugs
up
you can
5
take
miles
that'll do
from your
that.
house.
Watch, we talk about this, and then somebody's gonna get abducted. They're gonna come in here. We're gonna be like, he's on meth.
Oh, no, meth, yeah. Damn it, dumbass, we just decided
We
that it was meth.
just talked about meth yesterday. Jeez.
Dude, what a fun game show, though.
It's called abduction or meth.
The new Netflix original series.
Yeah.
Find a bunch of meth.
We're here to discover the truth.
Start flashing lights at them, and someone come out in the alien costume.
I mean, at that point, that they would assume that was a real abduction.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, but the audience knows.
And the cruel joke is the aliens are like, we keep getting all these people on meth.
Yeah. Why are you all
This is
so-
ridiculous. We need a clean specimen.
They're all high as shit.
they think that's just part of our biology. Like, yeah, humans have a really high concentrated
Meth,
in their bodies,
yes.
naturally.
Our system, that shit's poison, but yeah, good luck for you. I like the dragon that's attached to their head.
Oh, hello. As soon as Matthew said dragon on head, I was like, that's who that is.
Yeah.
Matthew, you want us some good news?
Do I?
Everyone survived.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that was obvious, though. I figured you wouldn't be here if they didn't.
Milton.
I like your hat, Lucy.
Thank you. No property damage.
Bless ya.
Yeah, I
No,
think
none. Property.
we got like really downgraded.
But it's still a hurricane.
They're still center Florida.
Yeah.
My god sister was in Tampa. Oh.
Or womp womp. Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Hey, she lived.
Oh my god.
I can womp womp to that.
My family member lived.
Oh, no. A womp womp location.
Oh, okay.
Not survivor.
Did you guys? I feel like I'm the only one that saw this on. It was like Instagram. People were talking about the Indian burial mounds in Tampa and how
I
that's.
saw
Have you? That's how they survive the hurricanes all the time.
Yeah.
But they weren't fully recharged from the last hurricane, so that this one was gonna really kick their ass.
Yeah.
It's like the Indian burial mounds are saving them. I was like, that is hilarious.
The hurricanes are like, I'm not touching that.
Yeah. That stuff freaks me out. I'm not
Sorry,
going
bro.
near it.
Not my, not my
Yeah.
area of expertise.
Very,
I'm sure all of you here, but this specific area, I'm good.
very bad juju indeed.
Y'all already got a bad rap for the US. I'm gonna leave you be.
I screws aside, and then I just, I don't know what's going on. But, you know, this is where I'm at. Also,
That is so big. Every time you like zoom out, it's just like,
but I'm following the proportions. It's
No,
just a
it's-
really weird dinosaur.
I really am happy that thing does not exist because that would freak me. I don't want to see that in real life.
Well, it's like an alligator, you know, there's just no way
Yeah, but that's like an alligator that like tiptoes at you.
Tiptoes at you.
No, actually,
Yeah.
they genuinely have no idea how this dude walked because its back legs aren't strong enough to hold it, but its front legs are also not strong enough to be walked
Okay,
on.
look, counter option, flying. It could have just had levitation
Oh
powers,
shit, you're right.
right?
Of course.
I forgot about the psychic dinosaur. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Psychic Saurus.
You should probably like submit that theory to the
Guys,
paleontologist.
Psychic Saurus was real. I saw him and he died immediately, so no one proved that.
Like, yeah. Have you considered the levitation?
Paleontology, like, council.
He made a post about that on Facebook.
With an AI generated levitating dinosaur. Yeah.
You would fool them.
You
Yeah.
fool.
Psychic Saurus is real. This picture of Jesus with me also proves it.
No, people already believe in the hurricane making machine that is in the deep blue
Okay,
sea.
yeah, I think was it you that I was talking about with the like hurricane machine like spine being flat? Because I
Yes,
think
that was
would
us. We were
that
all
would
like-
legitimately be the coolest thing ever. It's like,
But I also think the reveal would be really stupid. Oh my god.
look, it's a spine. It doesn't have to be that.
remember it.
Look, yeah, I'm not forgetting the hurricane machine spine movement.
Where it's like, why is it that all the places where the US is in war zones,
Yeah.
all the enemy ships keep getting wiped out by a tornado? I mean,
Yeah, the hurricane, a level. Wow.
Okay. I don't even know how I fucking stuff.
What do you have?
Look, there's
Wait, is
like,
that one polygon?
yeah, but it's also somehow bending.
But there's no edge there.
Yeah, I don't really know what I did.
He has one polygon, but
AI
think that it's
vertex.
kind of
Oh, wait.
dinosaur shaped.
Yeah.
bridge that one?
No,
No?
no, it just did this.
Okay.
Yes.
Could I get you to look at something and maybe tell me how I did it and or could have waited?
Yes. I can. Let me brace myself.
Yeah, I don't.
Just a
I'm
minute.
I'm more impressed with myself right now than you.
Oh.
Oh boy.
All right. Let me see. Bless you.
Wait, how is it doing it over here also? Oh, wait, it's doing it different. Oh, what the fuck? What did I do? I might not be built for getting well.
Matthew, can I say
Right, so just
something
like
that
that.
I have no room to
Seeing
say?
just the knuckles, you don't think it's okay.
Also maybe it's
It
gonna hurt
was
my
3, so
feelings.
seeing 5, it's like,
Not if I tell you it's a joke beforehand, it won't.
Okay.
Alright. Look at me real quick, Matthew. It's like a skin issue.
Oh no, that wouldn't hurt my feelings.
No, well, I felt bad saying it, so I'm gonna apologize for saying that, but you're very talented at modeling. You should know.
That was really nice and respectful. I feel like people might just think I'm an asshole
trick is to not think about it after you've said it.
Mm-hmm.
The trick is to make sure they don't remember you're the president of Anime Club because
Why?
I feel like you have a lot to work against. You would assume the president of Anime Club would be an asshole to them.
It's true, you gotta work on the bullying level.
Shoot, right, man.
Yeah. You don't make fun of nearly enough people.
Oh yeah, you need to gatekeep more people. You're like, actually, don't you remember what Sasuke's chakra is? Oh no, Naruto, but so.
Or you also don't quote enough anime, like,
Shoot.
yeah,
I
every
know.
other sentence.
I should start breaking like Japanese words into my normal speak. Like,
Oh,
that is
Yes.
so cool. Wow, their dinosaur is so very kawaii.
Kawaii.
You could have like one word that you like add to the catalog every day.
You know, when I went to Jacksonville today, there was a guy who was unironically like that in the anime club. Stop. And there was another guy who was very obsessed with Ruby, and every time we would watch something, he'd be like, in Ruby, they actually did this. And I think next meeting we should watch Ruby.
oh, but also, I'm debating on whether I'll like unlock it up in the game before I show you something. Anyways, for the actual thing of that. I'm not sure. Okay, so I think the top area. I kind of want to look
Oh,
like
that's a
this
good
kind of-
idea. I have no idea for a good
Oh,
Our
anyway,
games.
See, if we were
I
first
guess,
to start,
I guess my actual question in a professional sense is, would you be willing to draw another thing? I guess thing. Yeah. Okay.
Marsh.
Alright, I don't wanna like. Yeah. Okay, so for the hub area, what do you think the vibes are? Because I kind of want it to kind of like have a sense of like openness but also liminalness, I guess.
So you kind of look like one of the Power Ranger Megazords.
Yes. Oh my god. We should know discernible Rubik's kind of thing. I swear I have it
Mhm.
written down.
It's kind of goofy looking, but I'm not against it.
Like, it's cool as hell, but I'm telling you,
Oh.
that looks. You know,
Very
not like the
weird.
thick sky.
Yeah.
Rainforest cafe. There's like a perfect gradient and then really teeny tiny pinpoint stars.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. And see, you're better at just correcting stuff than I am because I think I'm like, have you heard how much Fiona's been talking about her work with the Mars?
Yeah.
And it's like, look, she had to do so many revisions to this now. It's like, I just, so basically, we should mention our concern. On the other hand, I'm scared too. She almost like, oh, just have popcorn dinner again today. I'm like,
But also, director, okay,
I need to be like, Fiona, you need to give me a new iteration.
I think some of these angles work pretty well.
Yeah, which one do you, like, you can scroll to them, just kind of give like, which one do you think has the best vibes, honestly.
This one, I think we do
That's
that.
my favorite so far,
I
honestly.
would just say this, but a little more zoomed in, because we're not really concerned with these words, we're concerned with these words.
See, I feel like I wanted a little bit because I kind of like the idea of having an extra door on Mars. Because hear me out.
DLC.
No, like
True.
no, like I think having an extra door, it could just be like a really stupid little effect I put in there, like just some
Mhm.
like I don't know, just some like weird creepy thing that's in there that's just meant to, that's just what the room is.
That's just it.
And I
Like,
think
I would like to see this, but maybe more of the ceiling. Like, I like this angle for just a cabinet, TV,
Mhm.
and then put it backwards could be.
I think my optimal thing for the hub for like this area is like having more than one.
Yeah.
I mean, but for like
Also,
simplicity.
also the vibe is supposed to be like
Boom.
What are your opinions on floating mathematical concepts?
You know, like an author extension.
Yeah, like a main inspiration for artificial
You know
intelligence.
exactly what I'm talking about. I hear about my switch, and I can show you specifically what I'm referring to. But like there's some areas in terms of nonsense floating. And that makes me, did I make that up in my
No.
mind? I probably know what I'm talking about.
No, it's like a thing where there's like floating things.
Yeah. Yeah, like in almost like Venus. It's just nonsense. I don't wanna say nonsense, I mean, it has a method to the madness. Not like an said method, but a method.
Like I like it you guys I like it you guys create a freedom, but I don't think Isabel would be very happy. But it's like, yeah, just put some random things in the air. It's not
Yes,
real.
like these, like they've got like stuff I found a transparent PNG of all the neon signs.
Oh yeah, because it's in the art book, right?
Yes. This is where it's really good thinking.
Is that like
Oh yeah, no.
that's
It's like the lizard from the Spider-Man movie.
I replayed, I mean, finished all
I
of
was
these.
not a fan of him. It
no,
makes me
it's
uncomfortable.
Yeah, I have yet to do that. I feel like I played before, I just haven't been on
Vito is your person,
like,
you kinda
okay,
like
Wait,
Oh,
okay,
mine
but in the
was
first one it was like,
I just
I'm gonna
reset
turn
my
everyone
games.
into lizards.
Yes.
That way we can all be evolved. And then in like,
Kind
no
of
wait,
like
no, he's just
kind
like,
of
but
like
lizards
still
be
takes
kinda
advance,
cool, right?
right?
And everyone's like, no.
like I'm sorry.
Bless you.
Yeah, no one knows.
Is it in the comic? Isn't there that one time where he's like, I don't wanna do good things, I wanna be nice. What? Maybe that's for really good. That should have been his motivation.
Like wizards versus knights versus.
He
No,
was
I
like
think that would be
helping
really funny.
humanity evolve stuff.
Just don't
Feels
understand how
that
cool
same
and then
thing.
bring
Yeah.
it back
Guys, I'm a big dinosaur, please.
Like
Everyone I've ever talked to had said they would rather be a dinosaur than a person. So obviously,
My favorite thing.
I'm just doing them a favor.
Yeah.
Are going, I thought the final.
Hey, I remember the playground.
And I'm like,
It was called the grant.
You're telling me Johnny
no,
thought we were dinosaurs?
oh,
Oh.
in the past. Where it's just the
Wait, but he's a
final
cooler dinosaur there,
because
wasn't
they
he?
will just regurgitate events from
Yeah.
I guess this one's technically, because it's like, it's not.
That's awesome. Like that is, but it's
You're a cancer.
honestly, if you had a choice.
What, cancer or dinosaur?
I really like Cyborg, and I played a lot of it, but it does not beat Cyborg.
I need them. I need them to make a sign order, but like put in more objectives and make it longer. And I don't know, maybe put them in more bosses. I know that stupid one that's like a ball and it goes you know.
I know what you're talking about. You do realize that you can get more lore with playing with other kids, right?
Look, tell me this isn't
No,
perfect.
no, like I
Oh,
dude, that's awesome.
I completed all the paladins.
Oh. I have yet to do that.
I really like Side Order, and that's why I'm like, I wish they had more, cause I played it until there was no more.
I wish I had more references to nuclear fallout like these videos, but I still really like it regardless.
Freaks are ready to get out.
Yeah, like I like smallest, I don't like smallest that much, but I like the smallest specific ones. Isn't it funny to think being like, I made dinosaur toes?
Like Perlina cannon shine. Baby toes?
Sorry,
Or bounce?
I've been searching for dinosaur toes.
I mean, I don't know, I feel like when you're a paleontologist, you don't really get a choice on what bones you find, so you just gotta
I feel like if you
hope.
find feet, you can just leave them.
Just leave them?
Yeah,
What
just,
do people find?
I'll find a better thing later.
So if you were like hoping it was a claw or like a hand or something, it turns out to be like,
No!
like, damn it! Matthew, what do you if you found the dinosaur Venus?
I probably wouldn't tell people, I think I would just keep that, right? Like, that's mine I'd be like, damn, that's crazy. Y'all have got, yeah, and good luck. You know, I bet it's still out there. Yeah. Hey, whatever sick bastard still has that, I hope they're brought to justice.
Look at all the screens around here. Makes me think of that one song that's like, everybody loves the dinosaur.
You know, I really thought it was gonna be something completely not that.
I really thought it was gonna be unrelated. I like waiting for Becky to finish the sentence.
Yeah.
'Cause then it's all gonna make sense. But
Well-
getting there is the time where I'm like, I don't know where it's going. But time is short.
That's a good way. It's a good way to captivate audience attention.
It's
Yeah.
true. I'm always waiting until the very end.
Before I formulate thoughts on this, let me see where this ends.
It's much more exciting to start off a sentence than just like, my house may catch on fire, when
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to you about like the fact I got house fire insurance or something.
I've definitely gotten close from where it's like, oh my gosh, Matthew, my cat can now be fireproof. And I was like, I didn't think that was a thing I needed to worry about, but thank you. That's fine. That would be so sick. Oh, I can
Oh my
never
god,
do
this is
that.
a Discord for this class. Yeah, I'm gonna send you the Discord for this class.
Hey.
Oh wait, did you not? Oh, I gotcha.
That's really dumb. I have to look up dinosaurs' arms.
You know what's
Just to
weird?
find their hands.
Yo, why does that one look like you're like holding eggs?
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Ew, who made him so
Sweet.
Yeah, right? Like you find this. Why does he kind of look like a big
Is this the
This
This
is evil. Okay. Oh, that one's like part zebra.
We called it the There Is No Source because I think it's really funny that
In like a lesser
Right,
quality.
like,
that's his name, but if you say it as separate words,
This is fake. There's no way this is a real thing.
No,
They
this
just
is
found
real.
no. They found a bunch of different bones that they did. That's some other dinosaur's feet.
that's 100%. I think they found multiple of this guy, so that's why they're like, no, this is real.
No, they found like 12 other dinosaurs and then didn't know what they went to.
Anyways, yeah, that was definitely a whoop.
Yeah, this one. No, one of them's gray and one of them's a zebra. Like,
Well, they don't know the size, but they do think that those went with that.
nah. If I saw that, that thing needs to go extinct. That's
No, that's really. Ew, the skeleton is horrible.
Well, Matthew, I mean, it did, so.
yeah. One of the good system updates.
Good job, Matthew.
Man.
Got that done ahead of time.
What? I feel like it was a bit that I don't understand.
And you never will, Matthew.
Yeah, do those where that is going.
You know, sometimes I think they're not doing these dinosaurs justice when they make recreations of them. Because look at the skeleton. That looks really cool. And then look at their recreation of this thing. He is the most ugly, disgusting, naked chicken.
Well, I mean, to be fair, my skeleton is way cooler than I am.
Look at the skeleton. It's so
Say that
cool.
about yourself.
How aliens
Every year on like New Year's, I think we should get like patch notes for like the country. I think it'd be really necessary. I mean, I was gonna say the world, but I don't think the world's gonna be able to unite to like give everyone patch notes. But yeah, I think it'd be really cool. You know, like new disease added. Starting in like Tanzania.
I think we get attachments, but I think that's just public policy.
No, but I want a big list of everything that's been changed in the year.
That'd be cool.
Oh.
Yeah, I want to be able to scroll through and be like, oh
Take,
shit.
like, remove Betty Whites or something.
Biddy status changed.
I mean, somebody does that on
From
Twitter
friend
with
to foe.
Minecraft, but they like jokingly do it. They're like, remove Betty White from Minecraft.
Yeah, I want that, but like for real life. The Ellen is now evil. really wanted Eric Andre to take over that show. I thought that would have been so funny. But also, I don't think the same viewers would have been there.
No, they couldn't.
But Eric Andre in a wig, that would have been so good.
There used to be this ride at Disney World where there was a bunch of Ellen animatronics telling you about how fossil fuels are the future.
With the fish in its face.
Pretty good.
Yeah, right? I would have watched this.
Can I be honest with you?
Hmm.
I thought Eric Andre was the that one Adult Swim show where like there's the guy that gets shot in the chair.
Yeah, that's him.
I thought Eric Andre was the guy that got shot in the chair.
Yeah, that's Hannibal Buress. This man. I got told in high school that I look like a fat version of me. It's true, but it didn't need to be said.
Listen, I think it's just the hair,
It's
really.
sad, yeah.
And I don't know that they. It's literally just that's the
It's
only
weird.
semblance.
What? I clearly have this facial hair. Oh god, wait, I also don't have eyebrows like him. That's good. Dude, my eyebrows have a render distance, it's really bad. If I'm too far from the camera, they do not show up.
Oh, mine do that. I
It-
hate
it's
it.
so
It's the
sad.
worst.
So I'm like, oh, this is such a like nice, happy image, and it's like, oh god. It like the image is,
Fine.
yeah, look like a Neanderthal and half the photos on it.
I did not notice until they took a picture, like, until, no, it was a family photo on the wall, and then someone was like, Samantha, I really like this picture of you, because you just don't have eyebrows. And I was like, that's the only time I noticed
Yeah.
it.
I've activated something and I
Oh.
don't know how to turn it back off.
Oh boy. Okay.
Well, like, it won't let me, it won't update the UV editor. So like if I want to unfold something, it just doesn't. But like even if I drag a UV around, it's like, no, I'm not updating this.
Okay.
The lean things.
Yeah, I don't know what that
Let's see what's going on.
Just AI type in Elon Musk with mammoth.
Can you make it Elon Musk Simpsons?
No, listen, every image you feel is fake unless it's taken from.
No, like I agree, but sometimes there's a little more creativity in it where it's like I am going to manually take a picture of Elon Musk and put him with the
But it's
yeah.
back to
But
the artsy
But
and Lisa Simpson.
some of my